Don't ever leave Oklahoma, okay?
Now we have a breaking news. According to authorities in Russia's Krasnodar region, 2 oil storage tanks caught fire at the southern Russian port of Temryuk after a drone attack. Regional officials said the strike caused a blaze covering about 2,000 square meters at the port facility. Emergency services were dispatched to the scene to contain the fire and prevent it from spreading to nearby infrastructure. Authorities did not immediately report casualties or the full extent of the damage. The Krasnodar operational headquarters said firefighting efforts were ongoing and the situation was under control. Russian officials blamed the attack on the Ukrainian drones. Now for this discussion, we welcome Mr. Matthew Vadam. He's an American journalist, joins us live from Washington. Thank you very much, Mr. Vadam, for joining us on Christmas.
Hi.
Hi, Merry Christmas to you.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us.
Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you. Now, looking at this, it's so unfortunate that these attacks are continuing, regardless of the occasion, even though it's Christmas. So now that this enters almost 4th year, Ukraine and Russia war, can we be hopeful that after the holidays, do you think that the talks, mediating efforts by U.S. would continue?
Yeah, I guess there's reason to be hopeful because I think a few hours ago, President Zelensky indicated that he's agreeable to a U.S. proposed plan to create a demilitarized zone in I think in eastern Ukraine. Wouldn't be controlled either by Russia or Ukraine, and it would be some kind of a free economic zone. And so I think that Zelensky had been resisting that kind of thing, but because it doesn't involve ceding any more territory to Russia, he is agreeable to it. However, there are reports that that Russian President Vladimir Putin wants to continue the war. He wants to keep fighting, and he wants nothing less than an unconditional surrender from Ukraine. So, it's like one step forward and 2 steps back, as they say. So the fact that Zelensky is suddenly agreeable to creating this demilitarized zone in eastern Ukraine seems to be offset by Putin's insistence that Ukraine offer unconditional surrender. So, maybe something can be worked out, and there does seem to be some progress on the Ukrainian side, but I don't see it on the Russian side yet. But, it's possible that maybe they could work something out, since one side is shown that it is open to compromise. That would be the Ukrainian side. The Russian side is apparently not open to compromise, but perhaps President Trump can twist Vladimir Putin's arm. There was also when Zelensky made the announcement that he was open to creating this demilitarized zone in eastern Ukraine. He also, released a very, emotional statement about he wants to stop tears flowing from children's eyes and so on. And so it was quite emotional. And maybe Zelensky's gotten to the point where he's really tired of the war and doesn't want to keep fighting. That doesn't mean he won't keep fighting if Russia, insists on unconditional surrender, which I imagine Ukraine would not be agreeable to. But as long as they're talking, there is hope that they could reach some kind of a peaceful settlement.
100%, yes, we can be hopeful. Thank you for sharing that. And Russia is not open, like you mentioned. Russia is not open to compromise, even for a demilitarized zone. Why do you think Russia is not ready to compromise, even just a little bit? Is it because Russia is gaining or advancing in militarized front, advancing in front lines?
Is Russia advancing its front lines? I mean, that's a matter, that depends on who you're talking to. I thought that the war right now was more or less a stalemate between the two sides. Um, with Russia maintaining control over the parts of Ukraine that it previously conquered. But I think the war right now is a draw, and I think that Vladimir Putin is a dictator, and he wants to expand his power, and he wants to expand Russia. He wants to rebuild the old Russian Empire, the Soviet Empire, if you prefer. Remember, he was a senior official in the KGB for many years.
Yes.
So he wants nothing short of total victory, and it's the question is how much suffering and pain is he going to have to put his countrymen through in order to achieve it?
Yes. And like you highlighted that Russian leader Putin has that kind of history. Do you think the delegations that are present, including Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, do they understand the nature of Putin? What's your analysis?
I suspect they understand the nature of Putin. I don't understand why they've been so willing to concede so much to Russia. This is something that puzzles me and a lot of people, because you wouldn't expect a U.S. Administration to be sympathetic with an aggressive country that invaded its neighbor and seized its territory by conquest. This is not something, and I guess left-wingers would argue with me, but this is not something generally that the United States does. So, the fact that the U.S. has been giving Russia has been helpful towards Russia, puzzles me and a lot of people. I think that probably Witkoff and Kushner do understand the nature of Vladimir Putin, but for geopolitical reasons, they think it's easier to just let Russia keep the territories that it seized, and force Ukraine into a settlement, because they view Ukraine as the weaker party.
Yes.
In the conflict.
Thank you very much, Mr. Radom, for sharing that insight. Please stay with us as we come back to you for our next discussion as well. Now moving to Honduras, Honduras Electoral Authority